I've been struggling with crippling depression since my wife's affair. Today, I finally took a big step, for me, in the right direction. 34 male. August 2020, I got COVID and quarantined alone for 7 weeks, kept testing positive, still symptomatic, doctor recommended, continued quarantine. Long story. My wife went and stayed with family because she didn't want to get it. She would come by every day for about 30 minutes, I'd stand 10 feet away from her car and we'd just talk. A few weeks into my quarantine, we had a fight about the electric bill being too high. It was summer in the south, I was there 24/7, AC was a must. Anyway, she stopped talking to me for the last 3 weeks of quarantine. Stopped bringing me food, stopped coming to see me. I had to ask my sister for food when I ran out. Eventually I tested negative. I called her and told her she could come home, but we needed to have a talk first. She said she was flying out of state to visit a friend and would be back in a week, and we could talk then. She got back and we met at a park, where she told me she didn't love me anymore and wanted a divorce. She wouldn't even consider marriage counseling. I got a call from a former coworker. She had recordings of my wife having sex with her husband. I was devastated. We had been together for 8 years, married for 2. All of my plans involved her, our future, the kids we were going to have, gone in an instant. This past August we finalized our divorce. The whole thing left me incredibly depressed. I felt like my life was over. 34, starting over. In my mind I had missed my chance at starting a family. At my age I'd most likely be joining one. Most women my age have already had kids, irrational I know. Not that there's anything wrong with being a step-parent. I'd absolutely hop into that role if that's the hand life deals me. But I've always dreamed of being a father. Having kids of my own. I know now that that door is absolutely still open, but for a long time I didn't see that. I felt worthless. Why did she cheat? Why didn't she love me? What is wrong with me? Why wasn't I good enough? What could I have done to save my marriage? I don't know how many of you are familiar with depression. If you are, you know just how difficult it can be to do the bare minimum. One small chore can feel like an insurmountable task, so it gets put off a day. But then another small chore gets added to the list, and suddenly that insurmountable task is even more impossible. Rinse, repeat. Soon, a cluttered counter becomes a disgusting mess, and you just walk past it without looking. Then it spills over to the sink. The other counter. You stop cooking at home because of the mess. The counters and sink and stove are all disgusting. It's easier to order out than it is to clean. So you start eating junk food. And in the meantime, your laundry is overflowing, you haven't even folded the last load, so instead of putting it in a dresser you shove it in a trash bag and toss it in the corner. Out of sight, out of mind. You let the litter box go too long, so the smell of cats permeates the house. But you've built up a nose blindness, and your house is too much of a mess for company anyway. The end table by your recliner has an ever-growing stack of paper plates, takeout boxes, soda cans. It's disgusting. You know it is. You know you're living in filth, but it doesn't matter. The task is too big, so you ignore it. Shove it out of your mind, go to work. Come home, watch an hour or 2 of Netflix. Walk through the mess on the way to bed. Ignore the filth. Sleep. Rinse, repeat. It's been a long road to recovery, but subsequent conversations with my ex-wife, as well as hard reflection on our entire relationship, have actually helped me understand that we were never going to work in the long run. I was always the one to apologize to end an argument, even if I wasn't wrong. I'd freely admit that I wasn't always right, I did and didn't do things I should have done as a husband. I wasn't perfect, but I always owned my part in our failures. In a recent conversation, she told me she didn't do anything wrong to me, and I need to get over myself and stop blaming her because I'm a sad, lonely, bitter man with no motivation. She genuinely believes she did nothing wrong. The affair, well, that was his wife's fault for pushing him away, and my fault for pushing her away. Heck, she didn't even consider it an affair. I realized in that moment she is incapable of accepting fault and genuinely apologizing when she's wrong. Everything is always someone else's fault, or they deserved it. She's never to blame for her own actions. Anyway, this past month she has been finally coming to get the rest of her belongings. She's moving across the state with her new boyfriend, not the adulterous relationship. He stayed with his wife and they're going to marriage counseling. Now that her clothes, her clutter, is finally being taken away, I'm feeling like that chapter of my life is really coming to an end. Soon she'll be living hours away, and I really need to start doing better for myself if I'm going to move on and have a happy life. Today I broke the cycle that has been my life. I got up early before work, vowing to get something done. I popped in my headphones, turned on an audiobook, Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. Holy shit, it's amazing, and turned my brain off. Before I knew it, hours had passed. My counters and stove were clean, my floor was clean. The dishes were done. It isn't spotless, but the difference is night and day. I could actually go home and comfortably cook dinner tonight if I wanted. It is such an incredible feeling, knowing that I'll be walking home to a clean kitchen. My living room, where I spend most of my free time, is next. I plan on taking it one room, one step, at a time. I'm not a perfect man, but I am a good one. My life didn't end with my marriage. I realize that now. I still have a lot of joy to give someone, and I need to get myself right so that I can start living again. If you made it this far, thanks for taking the time. I know it turned into quite a long read. If any of you are also struggling with depression, I'm here if you need to talk. Just know that it doesn't have to last forever. It will take work, a concerted effort, but you have to take that first step. Today I took mine, and it feels like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. I know the road ahead is long, there will be pitfalls and detours and setbacks. But I'm going to keep walking. Good luck.